have you ever noticed how the word gluten seems to pop up everywhere these days? From grocery labels proudly shouting gluten-free to diet trends telling you to avoid it at all costs, gluten has become one of the most talked about substances in the food world. But here's the question, what exactly is gluten, and why does it matter so much? Is it really the villain it's made out to be, or just misunderstood? Let's dive into the science, history, and truth behind gluten, right here on the History of Things. Gluten isn't some strange additive or preservative that food companies sneak into your bread. It's actually a natural protein found in grains like wheat, barley, and rye. When flour mixes with water, two proteins, gliadin and glutenin, combine to form gluten. This stretchy, elastic network is what gives bread dough its structure and chewiness. It traps gas bubbles from yeast, helping bread rise and giving it that soft, airy texture we all love. Without gluten, bread would be dense and crumbly, more like cake than a fluffy loaf. In other words, gluten is the invisible architect of your favorite baked goods. Humans have been eating gluten for over 10,000 years, long before anyone even knew what it was. The earliest wheat was cultivated in the Fertile Crescent, where people discovered that mixing crushed grains with water created dough that became chewy and satisfying when cooked. That magical property of elasticity, what we now know as gluten, transformed simple grains into bread, noodles, and even ancient plant-based meats like seitan in China. Gluten has literally helped shape civilizations by making grains more versatile, filling, and nutritious. So, how did something so ancient suddenly become controversial? The backlash started in the late 20th century when doctors identified celiac disease, an autoimmune disorder in which gluten triggers the immune system to attack the small intestine. For people with celiac disease, even a crumb of gluten can cause serious harm, so avoiding it isn't just a diet choice, it's a medical necessity. But in the 2000s, gluten's reputation took a turn. As the gluten-free movement gained popularity, many people without celiac disease began claiming they felt better after cutting it out, less bloated, more energetic, and healthier overall. Soon, gluten-free turned into a global trend and a multi-billion-dollar industry. But here's the twist, gluten isn't just in bread or pasta. It often hides in unexpected places like soy sauce, salad dressings, soups, and even ice cream. It's used as a stabilizer or thickener because of its elastic, binding properties. Some processed meats like sausages and meatballs use gluten to hold everything together. Even a few cosmetics, toothpaste, and medicines can contain trace amounts, which makes life tricky for anyone with true gluten intolerance. Today, gluten-free products are everywhere, from pizza crusts to beer. For people with celiac disease or wheat allergies, that's a lifesaver. But for everyone else, going gluten-free doesn't automatically mean eating healthier. In fact, many gluten-free foods are loaded with sugar, fat, or additives to replace the texture and elasticity that gluten naturally provides. So while it's a necessary diet for some, for most people, gluten is perfectly safe, and even vital for the foods we love. So the next time you tear into a warm loaf of bread or twirl a forkful of pasta, remember, that soft, stretchy texture comes from gluten doing its magic. It's not the enemy, it's the glue, literally, that holds much of our culinary world together. From ancient bakers to modern kitchens, gluten has been quietly shaping our meals for thousands of years, one bite at a time.